Yo. What's up, guys? Hmm. Happy snow day? Dude, it's fucking terrible out. It's just got like 24 inches or some shit. I have power right now. No, it's not. PB and Jello Biafra sandwich. Hmm. We're switching 10 to 15. Light work. I thought we were getting like 20 plus. I don't know what you're going to discuss, but are you going to brief on the carry trade changes? I don't think there have been any changes. I mean, Bank of Japan didn't change their rate. So, I mean, oh, it's Batbones? What's up, dude? What's up, man? Yeah, YouTube changed everybody's fucking names like a little while ago. So you have to, if you want your name to be what it used to be, you have to change it back. Are you buying Toyota yet? No. No. Toyota is drastically more expensive than the last time I looked at it. How low can USD JPY go? I mean, 150, 140, I feel like would be. I feel like those are just reasonable levels. But I don't know. I feel like I'd want to see a lot more. Ready for tickers? Yeah, I guess. I mean, was there any news over the weekend that we should be focused on? Speculation mounted in the weekend that Japanese authorities could be preparing to enter currency markets in a bid to halt the yen slide, possibly with the rare assistance of the U.S. Ooh, the jump in the U.S. session came as traders reported that the Federal Reserve Bank of New York had contacted financial institutions to ask about the yen's exchange rate. Wall Street saw those inquiries as potentially laying the ground for Japan to intervene to prop up the yen, perhaps even with the U.S. government joining in. Pegged to the dollar! Neither U.S. authorities nor Japanese authorities seem happy about the value of the yen right now, said Harvard economics professor Jason Furman, who served as chairman of the Council on Economic Advisors under former President Barack Obama. Everyone is on a hair trigger for something that will change it. Representatives of the New York Fed declined to comment. Japan's finance minister, Satsuki Katayama, and the country's top currency official recently issued fresh warnings to speculators after the yen weakened. The 2024 intervention, which took place and the yen pushed over the 160 per dollar level, was preceded by rate checks. Such checks have often served as a warning to traders that authorities view the yen's trading as excessive and are ready to buy or sell in markets themselves to influence the price of it. They usually happen when volatility has increased and verbal comments have failed to rein it in. Blah, 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 blah. U.S. only intervened in currency markets on 3 separate occasions. 1996, most recently selling the yen alongside a group of 7 nations to help stabilize trading after the 2011 earthquake in Japan. In any event, the fact that U.S. involvement in FX intervention is plausible could speed a sudden unwind of yen shorts, even if no such U.S. intervention actually materialized. Fun. That seems pretty accurate. How about 129? 126? Let's get back to bottom of 2023 levels. Let me just look at the ticker you guys actually care about. Bottom of 2023 would be fixie back to like the 70s. We'll be able to afford a shed soon. The winter ice storm death toll is currently at 2, both in Minnesota. Ha. Yeah, I know. I saw the ice shot someone else. They're trying to get the Insurrection Act, or at least support to use the Insurrection Act, which is, it is what it is. Seems risky for the U.S. to buy yen. Maybe not. Hmm. Interesting. The Fed gonna hedge the fucking dollar with the yen? Ooh, that'd be spicy. No, I can't think like that. What's up, Eleni? Oh god, that'd be so spicy. mm. Has a global currency with island catgirl money? Why not? GME? Mm. Vol picked up. Looks like there's some covering. Liquidity's a bit thin. I wonder if it just like popped already. Upside gap got filled. Um, boring. What are you asking about this every weekend? It's a Gamma Max. The uptick in Delta fell off hard on Friday. Yeah. It's like maybe a little covering, boring. XRT correlation inverted, which is usually bullish. It's not done inverting, but it was falling off on Friday, so I'd imagine whatever covering they're doing is probably done or close to done. I think throwing all the banks that are long the carry under the bus. If they hedge with the yen, though, sure, a bit. Can you review the Riley play? I mean, Riley's been doing good. Um, Obviously, their debt issues are starting to resolve themselves, and they're starting to make money again. Although the earnings reports are still incremental, they did post like net margins of 30% over the last 2 quarters, which is obviously strong. So yeah, I mean the bet on the business recovering so far is paying off. I don't know if they're going to bring back their absurd dividend, but it'd be cool if they did. I don't actually own a ton of Riley, but I did buy like 1,000 shares at like $3. I thought fuck it, paid off so far. The bet was kind of that they were able to stabilize and not go bankrupt, and so far they appear to be doing that. ADB 290 puts for 285 tests this week. Yeah, that's uh, mm, really. Maybe. Yeah. So you're betting reject off VN and drop further. Prior to earnings though? That seems like kind of a risky bet. Seems like 310's a fairly clean upside target. I don't see why I would test 285. There's big support at 290. Hmm. Chain's getting a little bit more bearish. I guess vol's picking up slightly to the downside. Earnings is out by like, hmm. March vol's awfully high. Yeah, I mean, I guess if the rejection here develops, I don't know. I'm kind of risky. It'd make more sense to go like long the breakout here than it would be to try to short the rejection, given that it wasn't a very strong rejection yet. Kind of unconfirmed, consolidating. Copper's already run a lot, but no, I mean copper's definitely not gonna be the same as gold and silver. There's far more available copper. And copper's up a shitload. We went, we went long HBM like what, a year and a half ago? Almost 2 years ago? Yeah, it was like back in like end of 2023. Yeah, bull looked kind of sexy last week. I bought some leaps on it at $10. It hasn't really moved yet, but it was picking up some delta. That's been kind of falling off a little. But I'm sure near-term performance is just gonna hinge on their earnings report, which will come with like the rest of like FinTech week. I think it's like end of Feb, towards the end of Feb. Current prices are still reasonable. There's still no negative gamma on the chain, which makes some things kind of hard to assess. HBM was like the highest percent return at 211%, but I only bought like $700 worth. Uh, that was a good one. Mm, the near term vol looks still kind of bullish, but I could see bull pulling back to like 750 again. Prior before earnings, so there might be like a better lower entry on it. You see more upside moves in Riley. I mean, if they continue to make profit quarter over quarter, then I don't see why the company wouldn't continue to be valued higher. If they bring back their dividend, this fucking stock will rocket. But I'd probably want to see a year of decent performance before that. I don't know. Like I'm up like I'm up like fucking 3x, so I kind of don't give a shit. Like, I'll just put a stop at $8 and see what happens. When did you buy in? Same time as me? Like when it was like three bucks or later? The options chain on Riley's improved pretty significantly. VN's up quite high. So, I mean, it looks like it's repricing. Gamma Max is coming up. GN and DN are only trailing by a little. Being above VN is like, probably bullish over the long term, or at least people are betting that way. Obviously, trading under VN very bad on any equity, but back when it used to trade over it, it was like $73 a share. So I don't know. I guess I'll just see if it continues to improve. General strike? It really depends. You need a like nationwide or just like at a state level. When was Kent State? It was like 1970, right? The S&P was worth like fucking nothing back then. Um, I don't know. The market was like kind of crashing anyway, so if anything, it started to turn around in June. Like June. Yeah, I guess a couple down days. You can change your name back. 475. I mean, you're up double. If you want to, you could shave half of it and just let the rest ride if you want. You could, shave a quarter and or shave none and just see if they continue to outperform. I'm not paying super close attention to the business, to be honest. I don't really have that big of an investment in it, but I mean, they're on track for the thing I thought they would do, so that part's cool. Most of my original interest in Riley was like back before I kind of like squeezed, and I had calls. It was like I think it was like March of last year or some shit. Fixie might, yeah. I've got calls on Fixie for June. I think like $60 and $65. Do you think U.S. bond and Treasury selling will continue due to the U.S. political situation? I think it'll accelerate if Trump invokes the Insurrection Act. Not that, ICE agents murdering someone is a valid reason to invoke the Insurrection Act, but I assume that's what they're trying to do in Minneapolis is just create a tinderbox that justifies the use of federal forces against U.S. citizens, and then they'll, seek to expand that realized power elsewhere to other blue cities. I mean, he's doing this as much to the ICE agents as he's doing it to the people of Minneapolis. Remember that a lot of these people, a lot of Americans can't afford to say no to $50,000. So I don't inherently think that anybody who went to go work for ICE is evil. However, you put 2,000 armed anybody in the middle of 100,000 protesters, and you're gonna get violence. Like, people are gonna end up dead. So the question is, like, how much is the administration, I guess, going to back up the actions of obviously untrained individuals murdering U.S. citizens? Um, and then depending on how much they double down, I guess that would affect what globally people consider the stability of the United States. Remember that our debt is backed by the promise that we remain the country that we are, and a civil war does not help that. So I don't believe in protesting. I think it's useless. Which shooter? It looked like he got shot by like multiple guys. The National Guard's 100% gonna escalate things. I did not see Bondi's list of demands to Minnesota. Are they being held hostage now? I can't even go outside. It's so fucking cold. I don't know how the fuck people are protesting. It's useful for getting on a Palantir database. I just don't think the French got fed by holding up signs. You know, who was violent? The guy who got pistol whipped by 7 armed men and then shot on the ground like a dog? Oh, the French? Yeah. Well, they got violent. I mean, they held up signs to Marie Antoinette. She told them to eat cake. And they were like, bitch, we don't have any. Then they got angry. Shooting appears to have been criminal incompetence. Yeah. Yeah, I would say. Well, I mean, these guys are getting like a couple of weeks of training and a gun and a bulletproof vest and a face mask. Calls on 3M for protesters buying safety gear. I wanted to go long 3M anyway. Kind of. Feuds just opened. Down 80 points. Oops. Back under the trend line. Guess the market doesn't like it. I mean, when all this started, I said there'd be a tipping point, and it would be when ICE agents started murdering American citizens in the street. So we're at the tipping point. Governor Walz, in a shocking display of cojones, mobilized the National Guard, but didn't specifically mobilize them against federal agents. So not quite a civil war. But we've had an ideological civil war going on for like 3 years now. So, it seems like the next obvious step is just a violent civil war. Jesus? Yeah. Well, on a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Duty. Do you talk about Canada? I don't care how bad the US gets, it doesn't make Canada real. New tariff? Oh, are there new tariffs on Canada? What's the hate on Canada? I'm just fucking around. Because we've been saying Canada's fake for years. Hey, quoting the founding fathers is not based. It's illegal to be armed while protesting, even if you're not protesting, not according to the Second Amendment. Kash Patel said so, and his forefathers go back to Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin Patel. I mean, it's not hard to get under Trump's skin. You just say anything about him. New tariffs if they make a trade deal with China, which they're not currently doing. I mean, they're going to make a trade deal with China if trade with the US is shitty. You can't. This is the problem with tariffs: is you can't impose tariffs and then try to use tariffs to manipulate the people you've already tariffed. You can only use the initial tariffing as a manipulation point. After that, no one gives a shit anymore. It's like, oh no, Trump's going to make U.S. citizens pay more money because Canada made a trade deal with someone else. They're going to be so fucking hurt by that. International trade's already been fucking grinding down to nothing. What the fuck's Bessent getting heat for? He's the only thing holding the financial ship together. Now he's gonna go buy some yen, try to save the fucking failure of the dollar. I don't even know what that means. Salute Ice America Green Fish Party? China's gonna have it so good, man. They already do. They just need one incompetent fuck to mess up global trade. They already have all the rare earth minerals. How long do you think before Nvidia goes and registers itself as a Chinese company if they cut off rare earth mineral exports to Taiwan? Like 15 days? How long does it take Jensen to file a fucking license to operate his business there? I'm sure the CCP would be more than willing to expedite the process. Welcome back, Batbones. Jensen can't. He's from Taiwan. He'd be risking a lot with his U.S. citizenship. That's only valuable if you want to stay in the U.S. Trump's gonna have Jensen assassinated if that happens. Trump can't even catch his own assassins and assassins of people in his party without their parents turning them in. I'm not entirely sure Trump's going to catch anybody or successfully assassinate anyone. Maybe me. Ask about tickers so I quit derailing Garrick. Oh, I'm just being melodramatic. I'm sure it'll be fine. U.S. bond market's definitely ready for a civil war. The dollar's never been more stable. ASTS short? Hmm. That's overpriced. Does that company make money yet? Nope. Negative 833% margins for the last quarter. Hot. No, they never will. I know. Mm, hmm. You think of long term? Are puts on it just ridiculously expensive, like Carvana? They're not cheap. EPAM's been doing pretty good. I would again like to point out that EPAM has beat every single earnings call since 2018. I'll say that again about them. Ooh, USD JPY 154. What's getting ready for a big breakout? EPAM? What the fuck is with the top chat blocking? Oh, there is an E2. 10B D Dog Crowd. Yes, all three are cybersecurity. I know they are. Yeah, we could take a look. ASTS. I mean, I guess long term, I'd be probably willing to short it. I don't know. I don't really see anything in the near term positioning that would make me want to do anything but like sell calls or sell spreads. But we can take a look at some of these cybersecurity firms. Mm, hmm. Interesting. D Dog looks kind of bullish. CrowdStrike and 10B don't. Like they don't look great. Thank you so much, Alex. Oh, crowd. Wait. CrowdStrike, right? CloudStrike, whatever the fuck they're called. We're talking about Phew. Phew. We're talking about CrowdStrike, right? Not. Are you thinking of CoreWeave? Thank you. Can you look at Apple? Been selling off for a while now. Surely there's been some mean reversion of the upside to play, right? I don't know. Apple's business model is kind of shitty right now. I can't believe they didn't get a bump from them saying that they were going to turn their chatbot into a chatbot. Yeah, that's what I looked at. CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike doesn't look all that bullish. Neither does 10B, but the like D-Dog kind of looks a little bit better. The CrowdStrike look kind of floppy. I don't know. Why do you hate CoreWeave? Ooh, it went up again. That's fun because it's worthless. Laws in response to Bondi's demands. We're still waiting on about 2 million Epstein files. Show us those first. I love how the Department of Justice, while defending murderers, is making demands to remove those murderers from a single state. Like, hostage negotiators. I don't know. Apple looks kind of shitty. Like, doesn't look great. Seems like GN's getting ready to slide back under DN. Delta's been fairly thin since the Jan expiry. Gamma hasn't really picked up. I mean, it caught some support, but I feel like it could slide right. Like the support of Gamma is pretty thin, so it could slide right back down. If it got out above 255, I'd long it, but otherwise I wouldn't touch it. Apple has too much cash that's devaluing. Yeah, Apple sits on a ton of cash, very exposed to the USD. I did hear about the jewel thief suspect they deported. Well, allowed to self-deport or some shit before he went to trial. Trump said it best. Smart people don't like me. Yeah, yeah, it was a very very interesting moment of clarity from him. What else we got? Ura? Interesting. Uranium's an interesting commodity to be long if you're long already. Kind of looks a bit overextended. It's possible dollar declines will start hitting silver and gold, but not yet. Senate Dems won't pass the budget until they remove new funding for DHS. Sounds about right. I mean, there was no question about us shutting down again, right? We talked about this at the last shutdown. Like there were valid reasons. I didn't like that Dems did it, but there were valid reasons for Dems to concede the first one. This time they don't have to concede it though. I mean, I'm warm. It's not warm here, but I'm warm. It's fucking like 10 degrees outside. It burns to breathe. I would say that if commodities overall continue to appreciate, then euro will as well. Um, Locally, it seems a bit topped out. Like Gamma Max has been falling pretty convincingly over like the last few weeks, and then the fact that it's pushed up above that regardless. I mean, obviously a lot of buying in the spot market, but um, probably unstable at this point and due for some kind of price correction. Maybe it's a good thing to sell like call spreads on. I'm really not a big fan of shorting shit at Gamma Max, with the exception of like Carvana, and that's just because like skew gets so fucked every time Carvana tops out, and people sell calls so fucking hard that it just tanks, um, which really fucks up the price stability, but makes it really fun to short at highs. Yeah, Carvana looks like it's about to tank again too. Vol's all blown out on it. It's about 10's hoodie weather for me. Not to brag, you just get used to it. I mean, I wear hoodies in 10-degree weather. It's just, it was easier when I was fatter. I've lost a lot of insulation. Humble brag. Are you asking if Palladium's gonna do what? What did XAD? What the fuck is XAD? XAU? XPD is Palladium. X8? What the fuck is XAD? XAG? Silver's AG. Have you ever seen a periodic table? There you go. Palladium might. Demand for palladium's kind of weird. It's not really the same as silver demand. It's a rarer metal. It could. I don't like playing palladium that much, but I mean, I guess if you're assuming a broad spike in precious metals that's away from monetary backed precious metals, that would be more of like a surge in commodity valuations overall, which is not really the same play as central banks buying up shitloads of gold and silver to hedge the dollar. Like, no one's buying palladium to hedge the dollar, if that makes sense. Platinum, probably not either. Oil. Long oil could be a dollar hedge. I'm not gonna open that. I can't. Oh, at least I can't open it on this computer. I'd have to open it in a virtual machine, so I can't look right now. You want to just explain it to me? You can do it in DMs. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're if you're going after other precious metals, you're kind of making a different bet. You're basically saying that we're going to move into a like a depression slash commodity cycle, and then yeah, platinum and palladium would be great in that event. But I mean, I don't think the current like currency the currency hedging that you're seeing out of central banks, I don't think that's really tied to the rest of precious metals, just silver and gold. Have you had to buy new underwear yet? I buy new underwear all the time. Oh, you mean like because yeah, none of it. Well, I've bought new underwear. I also have old underwear from when I was skinnier, so I just wear those. But that I couldn't wear when I was fatter. But I have bought some new underwear and pants. Pants is the big deal because I don't own any belts and I don't like wearing them. So having all my pants be like two sizes too big is rough. But I kind of want to just wear my fat clothes until I'm like super skinny, so I look ridiculous in them, like a clown. I lost 75 pounds so far. Less cake? You know what? The cakes, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I have to get someone else's opinion on it. Just long gold for 2026 and call it a year. I would have said that last year. It's starting, I mean, I think we're getting much closer to a scenario where rates are likely to spike. So I think gold is definitely not as safe of an investment as it was at like 2,500 or 3,000. Because if yields at the top end in the US spike, a lot of those hedges are going to get sold off to cover the losses in their treasury holdings at foreign central banks. I mean, that's probably where speculations turned. Like, I'm not surprised about that. But charts looking the same does not mean charts are going to yield the same results. You probably just have a lot of speculation in the platinum and palladium markets because people do think that we're headed towards a recession. Or at least, you know, a financial event. There used to be a fund that was run on the Monday effect, and it performed really, really well from like, I think it was like 2008 to like 2014, and then it collapsed. Wouldn't gold rise in any financial event? briefly, but then it gets so like the remember central banks accumulated gold, especially China, but most major central banks have been accumulating gold as a hedge to the risk in the fiscal risk in the U.S. dollar, right? And then silver followed suit after gold. I think largely because the Russian central bank, but but and then also demand for physical silver makes silver like more volatile than gold. It doesn't have the same infinite recyclability. But I mean, basically, you're seeing like dollar hedges explode, but the dollar's been stable up until well Friday. Yeah, they did. They did start shorting vol really hard after the big injection, after the taper tantrums. But basically, if yields at the top end spike, then equities and gold become less attractive and bonds become more attractive. So equities and gold will sell off, bonds will be bought. If this rotation happens, the gold rally will die. And this is just a question of rates at the long end. So I back when I was buying gold, I was pretty confident that, at least the US government, and this was like end of 2023, that the US government was just going to do everything in their power to continue to stabilize rates at the long end and save the banks, right? It became really obvious after the Fed stepped in with the SM what was it? Not was it SMB? I feel like I'm forgetting the name already. SMB sounds right. Maybe. Anyway, after their collapse, and then when they started doing like YCC, SVB, thank you. So after the SVB collapse, when the Fed stepped in and provided liquidity to the banks, and then Yellen started doing yield curve control in like end of 2023, alongside the Fed's promise to start cutting rates. It seemed like we were going to get a fairly extended period of them trying to temper rates at the long end by not allowing rates at the short end to go up too much. Um, and so far, I mean, they've been successful with that, but Trump keeps pushing, global geopolitics to the breaking point, and so um, that risk is starting to be felt, and I mean, like Trump is the direct reason that bets against the dollar have increased, and central banks have continued to load up on gold in order to hedge any kind of event that could occur with long-term yields. Like the Supreme Court shuts down tariffs. If tariffs aren't re-implemented right away, yields at the top end of the curve will rocket. The Fed has no control there, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we're already kind of seeing some of the Monday effect, right? We're down overnight tonight. We're down like what 80 points or some shit, 60. Nasdaq's down about 80. ES is already bouncing back a little, but ES slipped the 69.17 level, which is not great. That's back back into the downtrend again. Yeah, SVB. And so that's when I bought gold, and gold seemed like a good investment at that time, because it seemed like central banks were going to continue needing to buy gold. Not only was there dollar stability issues with the carry trade by then already, but then, obviously the new administration was going to pose continued risks about future U.S. fiscal concerns, and then that all played out, through 2024 and 2025. But now I would say that, you know with the U.S. invasion of, or well, U.S. kidnapping, I guess, legally, in Venezuela, and kind of saber rattling towards Greenland, and issues with the Bank of Japan. We're starting to see a lot more dollar risk pop up globally, and so I think we're a lot closer to a point where yields pop, banks fail, and like you get a big sell off in gold. But I think that big sell off in gold would also probably mean that, the major impact of a financial crisis is hedged off, and so, um, the rest of the impact would then be felt in equities, and then we probably start a period of like normalization after that. But I would say, yeah, gold is probably really risky here. Silver as well. It's possible that the Fed, like trying to, or stepping in with Japan to stabilize the yen, could potentially, uh, cause some of those gold hedges to fall off early, but I doubt it. I think they got bought out. Time to short KRE again. Financial institutions have not been doing well. Like year to date, like most of the finance sector is down. So far this year, I mean, like JPM's down like 7.5%. Visa's down. Bank of America, Wells, Amex, Citi. BlackRock's been doing well, but Blackstone hasn't. IBKR is killing it. Yeah, we can take a look at Google. Google has kind of the same effect going on that Apple did. Little lot of trimming in Delta with the OPEX that doesn't seem to be coming back onto the chain. Um, I would still be worried about. I mean, the big worry with shorting any of the mega cap tech is earnings season. But, I would say if earnings season fails to impress among the majority of the Mag 7, then we're likely to see continued sell offs there. QQQ's kind of already been underperforming the last few months. It's been fairly range bound since, like, I don't know, since it fell from its like all-time highs in October. Like the upper cap on like QQQ has been around like 628, with like lower around 600. What do you want to do on Amex? Oh, still looks kind of bearish, I guess. Delta's overall Delta's continuing to decline on the chain, so interest in its options market is falling off. Has been pretty steadily since December. And the cap on credit card interest rates is probably not great for their business. I've been short JPM for a while, so I feel you. I kind of want to short BlackRock. BlackRock will get fucking eviscerated if equities sell off. BK. Hmm. I generally think of like BNY as being one of the more stable banks, but this doesn't look great. Definitely room to slip down to like 100 or 105, even 95, before there's any real support. Feels kind of topped out here at 120. Yeah, pretty quick declining gamma down to 100. Can see how people are positioning, I guess. There's some short-term downside interest there. 60 to 90 days pretty flat. Negative overall though. Yeah, I would say there doesn't appear to be a ton of confidence in the upside here. It's a pretty decent vol spike down towards like 105. Curves kind of flattened out to the upside out until like June too. So yeah, this could be like a downside continuation. There's probably a good confirm in here somewhere. Like on a technical with like 115. RDW still just popping off. Interesting. I mean, the chain on this still looks bullish as fuck. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it here, but yeah, the prior gap at 12 close. This might actually be like a better short opportunity. I would expect there to be like a lot of longer term profit taking at these levels. There's a bit of support at 12 and 10. Fuck all below that. Gamma's positive across the whole chain, but falls off pretty rapidly to the downside. Yeah, a loss of 10 would be pretty bad. It's like most of the interest is like leap interest. Or May and leaps. Bit in Feb. Hmm. So put, ooh yeah. Look at the fucking put out of the money put buying on it. Yeah, skew 10 and 30 coming down. Bit of negative return premium on this. So yeah, like long gamma on the 30-day on this is pretty good. I guess if you wanted like no directional exposure, like 30-day straddles would be pretty cool. Look at the implied moves priced in like 41% in 30 days and it's underpriced. Like historics 125, IV30's 121. Huh. Yeah, I mean the options chain still looks bullish, right? There's still a lot of delta on it, but that delta's becoming more sold. And then also like filling the gap down from back here is going to drive a lot of people to sell. Because, they've been underwater since like August of 2025. So, I mean, even though the like short-term chain still looks bullish, I think it can sell off. So this might be like basically like the peak bullishness. Does that make sense? Mill? Yeah, buying calls on dips in a bull market's usually pretty good, as long as it stays a bull market. There's a lot of things to kind of indicating to me that we might be moving out of that a little bit, or at least if uncertainty continues to increase, which it's been doing. All right, so we retested the trend on ES and failed again. ES back under 68.90, confirm, and then downside 68.43. I mean, like what? Signs of uncertainty? I mean, we have the US trying to like violate the sovereignty of multiple countries simultaneously. I mean, if that shit continues alongside, civil disobedience, the US's fiscal position, and then volatility with the tariff regime that's already in place, all of those things just breed uncertainty. The markets don't like that shit. If they know what's going to happen, that's fine. But when it becomes unclear or opaque, people get scared. I feel like it's just a definite government shutdown, which I said when the last shutdown ended. I was like, they're just going to shut it down again next year. And then the Republicans won't be able to leverage Snap. And with probably a lot more support this time around, too, because of what's been going on with DHS. On gold until the president dies, then rotate into SPY for once in a lifetime bull run. Easy peasy. I don't think it's that simple. But I think for now, gold and silver are going to continue to climb the wall of worry. And then if there is an event that causes US yields to spike, gold will sell off. Probably rapidly. That's this one, isn't it? This is the budget showdown. Like we haven't had a budget really in some time. But I think the budget resolution's what, April 15th it's due by. De-risk gold before FOMC dates. 100% win rate. FOMC has nothing to do with the long end of the yield curve. It's going to be news or geopolitical shit. The only way the Fed affects the long end of the yield curve is if they hike rates like 10%. Which isn't going to happen. Let me be clear. If we shut down US bonds default, no. Treasury payments continue. They have avenues to continue treasury payments even if the debt ceiling isn't raised. The scary, I guess, the difference between appropriations and the debt ceiling is not a bond default. It's like when the debt limit is breached. So if we breach the debt limit, then the government can't pay existing obligations. So like Social Security, salaries, not just things that are approved by appropriations, which is a narrower set of funding. Time to short silver? I don't think with the carry getting squeezed a little, it's the best time. But if the like USD JPY normalizes, then maybe. I don't think it'll stay down for very long though. Be careful playing the downside on it. Do we want to take a look at the index? I feel like I've covered a bunch of tickers and macro shit. Or do you guys just want to wait till I do the write-up tonight? Nice, Squamsk. Congratulations. I'm glad you're eating real food again. Now, we continue to see declines of Delta on the weekly chain into the end of last week, starting from Jan 20th, pretty continuously. Total Delta's fallen off, which seems to be mostly the upside. Gamma turned a bit more negative on Friday, and like options buying fell off a little bit. We closed the day in a negative gamma environment. The overnight move, we're now negative delta environment on at least on the weekly chain, um, and then negative gamma on the monthly chain as well. Although probably not very negative, I would say. What are we at roughly? Like 68, 75 ish. So we lost about 4 billion in gamma from over there, and then another. Mm, from negative 11, another 20, 18 billion. So like 22, negative 22 billion in the overnight. I think the first couple of days this week had fairly negative gamma already by expiry. So outsized moves. I mean, we've probably sold off enough in the overnight session. Yeah. A good Friday priced in a 50 point move. We're down 56 overnight. We were overall we were down, I think, like the low was 96 points. So we might bull flag or bear flag tomorrow out of open. Snow covered all the berry bushes. I thought you would have stockpiled some in your tree by now. Skew 30 and 10 both declined pretty sharply on Friday. So puts got bid up. IV 10 was increasing. Um, there's like almost no incentive. Like there's basically no VRP on the front. So all of the premium on the back with the potential for like volatility to pop. So not very attractive environment Friday for put sellers, and we're gonna open an even. I mean, we're gonna open with IV10 higher, but maybe not substantially higher, which could continue to keep put sellers from stepping in. So there is some chance that like an open around this level would continue to fail. Um, which would drag us back towards like the 50 or 40 level. Um, hmm, interesting. Oh, we also have end of month coming up, which means JPM collar roll, increased cash demand, probably from like Tuesday on, increased on RRP. So we might start to see some divergence between SOFR and IORB again as short term cash gets more expensive. And now, with the drop in dollar, short term cash also worth less, so higher demand on that. That'll be something to keep an eye on also through this week. Globex, maybe? Looks like there's some 6900 support and then 6850, which probably gives us an effective trading range tomorrow between 6900 and 6850. 6900 having kind of a pinning effect to the upside of 75. Um, hmm. Put leverage and call leverage. Well, put leverage kind of bottomed out. It looks like some in the money put leverage picked up, but out of the money put leverage fell, which is usually bearish. Um, Put delta started to turn around a little, but barely. That'll be up tomorrow morning. It looks like call leverage above spot and at the money fell off really sharply. Um, with calls not really pricing down though. So low incentive to sell puts going into market open, but some incentive, and then very low incentive to buy calls um, because they're just equivalently priced. I don't think they're going to be a lot cheaper at market open. So, what we might see going into market open if we open under 6,900 is possibly a fall back towards like 68.75, and then we'll see if we pick up more put sellers there and bounce back. But right now, it's all looking great for a gap fill, barring news. ES getting close to retesting 69.17 right now. There's a gap up to 69, almost up to 69.36, which is the next resistance to the upside. But this looks weak, even though it's dropping on fairly low volumes. It is dropping. Yeah, I would watch the retest at 69.17. If that gets rejected, this could drop to like new lows. There's very little downside gamma support, so possible to continue to sell off. 24-hour like SPX trading, basically. Globex is the trading for SPX between the 4 p.m. close and the market open. It's not very retail friendly. The only broker I'm aware of that you can trade on it's IBKR. Oh no, Fidelity has a couple Globex hours, but they're like pre morning data release time, so like 7 a.m. I think Eastern. Kind of illiquid. BTC's flat. Dollar's recovering a bit. Mm, Gold and silver up. Oil down. Fig and ADP. Yeah, sure. I'll do a couple more tickers, then I'm gonna hop off. It's already like 7 o'clock. Oh, we don't have Fig. I'm gonna have to add that. I'll add Fig to our ticker list. We should definitely have that one on here. Um, 80. ADP doesn't look super great right now. Not, I mean, negative delta doesn't seem to be adding any support. So I would say probably downside continuation. VN falling off that hard is wild with the leap expiry, or into the leap expiry. It's not really recovered either. Um, Hertz. Looks bearish. RR also looks a little bearish, but not super bearish. Probably more like thin chain, so probably more flat than actually bearish. AI. Oh, that's kind of interesting. We have earnings coming up, maybe? It looks like it's getting ready to bounce. I'd like to see Delta increasing. It doesn't seem to be. But maybe somebody just longing vol. Yeah, skew 10's shooting up. Short term. So short term upside interest. Skewing from like negative 3.4 all the way up to negative 1.16 pretty rapidly. So that might be starting to snap back with some upside bets. Looks like maybe out at 80, 85, 90. Breakout above 75. Yeah, I mean, no confirm on the bull side of this until it gets above 75. But if it does get above 75, it could start moving out to like 85, 87, 50 pretty easily. Stays under 75, probably continue to crush down. TMC, DTM. Mm. Mm. That looks. The chain splitting? Chain's flattening to the upside. This has some room out higher. I mean, if it can get above, I'd imagine all the Vanas at like $10. Yeah, if it can get above 10, it could start to squeeze. Gamma's high enough and flat enough out to the upside that it could push out to $15. Let me look at skew real quick on this though. Yeah. Skew 10 snapback last week. What about longer dated bets? Yeah, this looks pretty decent to the upside. Volatility picks up really fast above $10. What's the Vega Fab contract? That's out of the $12 strikes out on the June or May. Yeah, probably room up to 12. If 10 doesn't act as support, and then if 12 broke, it can squeeze out to like 15 or 17. But I would imagine that some pullback would be needed first, just because it's kind of gotten. I mean, it's really not at Gamma Max yet. Gamma Max is probably here around 1150. I figure 0.5% to the upside to put you at 12. 12 is probably upside resistance. But I would watch and see if Gamma out of the money rises at any point. It would if it broke 10, so that would steepen the top of the curve and push the peak out further. Back under $9 would be bearish. But Delta's picking up on the chain, so not sure that Delta is being bought very heavily. DTM. Also looks kind of bullish. Thin though, pretty thin. I don't know if I'd rely too much on the options chain here, but it does look like the options are betting to the upside. Visa. Visa might be setting up for a little bit of a bounce. Gamma neutral pushed under DN, which isn't likely to last very long. So playing a bounce on Visa might be decent. Let's see where the sold puts are. Yeah, probably a lot of put selling 15, 20. Upside push out to like 40 or 50. 40 or 45, I guess. Um, Above 330 is bullish. Yeah, out to 50. Yeah, Visa actually looks like it could turn around. Maybe I'd want to see a break of delta neutral though to confirm. So like 329 break to the upside of delta neutral looks like it would be the bullish like confirm, and then yeah, then that's got room like all the way back up to the gap fill. Um, Hood Hood doesn't look hot at all. Short term maybe bullish on the GN bounce, but it looks like that got rejected Friday. So possibly continued down to negative gamma. Not a lot of delta supporting at spot either. So a failure from here could probably drop quite a bit. 100. Back to 100 seems pretty easy. Supportive delta down at 90 though. A little minor supports at 195, but bigger support at 90. So that looks ripe for a pullback or continuation to the downside. Carvana, Carvana didn't test 500. But it does look like vol fell off on it really, really sharply Friday. So I would say that Carvana is probably going to start coming back down. HE10's picking up. We probably continue to see calls sold around here. They're flattening out the curve to the upside of spot. Out into the fab expiry, but even then, things are skewed to the downside a bit. Under 470 is not a very good look. Next support's down at 50. Under 50, back to 425 or 400. It looks like there's very little supportive delta to the downside, so not a lot to push us down. Delta's thin to the upside though too, so I mean you could try to play the flip at 70. I guess you could straddle it, although probably expensive or at least heavily overpriced. What's the implied move? 5 day implied move is like 5.73%. So these options are expensive as fuck. And like the downside got bid up a bit like on the 21st, but then bounced back into the end of the week for the 30 day. Weaker bounce back in the short term though. So yeah, I mean maybe like 10 DC straddles are beneficial. Um, hmm. BRP's closing, but it's not closed yet. Um, hmm. Yeah, maybe I'd go long vol here. Or at least maybe I'd wait for RVIV to or HVIV to normalize on the 10-day and then go long vol. So maybe then I would, after that normalize, like buy a straddle or depending on the price level, maybe just buy a put again. I don't know if I'd buy it right now though. Maybe like sometime this week it'd be more advantageous. Oh, puts at the peak on Friday. Fuck yeah, dude. NB. Mm, too thin to matter. Well, Gamma Max probably doesn't matter very much here. There's room out to like 950 to the upside. Looks like that's definitely possible as long as the 750 support holds. But I'd be interested in like selling like the 10-1050 spread on a test of 10 or a break above 950. I don't think I'd want to play the upside above 10 on this. But if 750 slips, it's going back to like $6 or $5. So another like shit cow on like sitting on its own pivot point. Thanks, Jen. BNAI. I don't have that one on here. Go back to Sheezy's. Get Lab. All right, last one. Yeah, I mean, like the first thing I'm doing, I'm looking at the spot's position relative to the neutrals. Is it above or below? Right? Above what? Below what? What's Gamma Max doing? Pulling back towards spot, rising away from spot, rising in line with spot. Like this has slightly positive delta, but that delta is being less bought, and the spike in delta is falling off. Gamma neutral's moving down. That's not necessarily bearish, more dampening than anything else. The chain's pretty thin, only 200 million gamma on the whole thing. Um, or 200 million delta on the whole thing. 1.738 positive gamma. So dealers aren't crazy supportive of price. And with the thin delta and the fact that, DN's not generally very supportive, I would say that this probably could continue to fail in the short term, but there may be some longer dated positioning that's pulling gamma neutral further away from spot. Which, I mean, if that trend were to continue, then I would expect spot to continue to move up into more positive delta territory. There's a gap here to the upside out to like 44 ish. And over here, I'm looking for major levels near spots. So it looks like 35 support, 38 minor resistance, major resistance out at 40. So, obviously a breakout above 38, bullish out to 40. However, spot maybe not in as good a position. Like this little like empty pocket of gamma here at what fucking strike is that? 3750. Yeah, 3750. Could be kind of intraday high resistance. And then over here, looks like skew 10 dropped really rapidly, just kind of bearish. The downside's getting bid up, so you probably want to look at IV. Um, you can see that, in line with that, IV moved down sharply, so people selling calls, capturing that very, very wide VRP that there was back on 122. It was like HV10 was at 28, IV10 at 93. So huge amount of positive carry in the shortfall on the call side. It looks like some puts were probably bought up because puts definitely bid up with that call selling. But HV's rising, and IV is probably going to pull below that, which is going to disincentivize the call sellers, but it's probably not going to fall enough below it to incentivize call buyers. So unless calls get substantially cheaper, they're still a bit overpriced right now. However, puts are relatively cheap. Um, So, I mean, you could do a straddle on this or like a ratio straddle. And then over here on the like gamma exposure, like it's pretty steep around spot. So gamma rises sharply out to 40, falls off pretty steeply down to about 3250. Below 3250, it starts to flatten out, and losses in gamma are less significant. So this range would be choppy or bouncy, because there's just not that much of a change in gamma per strike. Um, Anything else I want to cover on it? Yes. That's the fact that GN is pulling down is somewhat interesting, but maybe not yet. So this might just be like consolidate into a bounce. Like I said, there's a little bit of support, but it's not very close to spot. Right, there's a tiny bit of support at 36. Very easy for this to slip back to 35. Um, but I mean, I guess it could continue to grind out to like 37.50 or 38, above 38 bullish. That's when there starts to get to be enough supportive gamma that the market maker is actually making a bit of difference there. But and like Delta's not very squeezy until you get out above 38 either. Um, so this is, I mean, yeah, kind of boring. Limited like $2 a downside, $1.50 a upside available locally, and breaking one of those two levels might be somewhat significant, but it could definitely just consolidate and chop in this range as people reposition. PAA, but you want the fundamental outlook? Oh shit, do I not? Did I just do that whole fucking thing and I don't have Gamma Strike open? Motherfucker. Ah, whatever. You guys can walk through all the charts on your own. I mean, I don't like that it just filled its upside gap. KMI started to do a little bit better. These are kind of like secondary, tertiary pipeline companies. I don't know how much like pipeline work needs to be done in Venezuela. I think that's why KMI and this have underperformed a little bit relative to like Schlumberger, Halliburton, NOV. I would still say that oil infrastructure and um, like oil infrastructure, field services, and like logistics are still more important. Pipeline relevance would probably come up later. So there's probably an opportunity to buy this again at a cheaper price. Especially considering we still have no idea who's funding anything in Venezuela. This trade could get kind of kind of ugly in the near term. Like if there's really no news for the next 3 months, ugh. Yeah, oil tankers could benefit. I mean, that still means exporting oil, which I don't think we're at that stage yet. Eh, it popped a little. Yeah, this kind of looks like a good dump too. Honestly, these probably all ran too early. Like short-term exuberance because of the news, but like not actually a good trade. Like I think Schlumberger, Halliburton, NOV, those were good trades. Not just because I was long all three of those, but just because like there was actually like obviously the Venezuela thing was completely unexpected, not part of my original thesis at all. Anyway, but like they would be the initial and primary beneficiaries of any kind of renewal of the oil infrastructure there. This stuff would all come later, so I expect that like pipeline services and tankers would probably see price improvement later on, and short term would likely sell off. until there's like a more, at least until there's a more fleshed out plan of what's actually going to happen there. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck off and mess with futures and start writing up Pickles picks. So you guys have a good night. I will catch you later. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.
Kenny's Mayonnaise is a proud sponsor of Pickle Financial, so when you get a hankering for some creamy, delicious mayo after a long night of snorting, sweating, and pacing, grab some Kenny's.